Welcome in to Inside Carolina Postgame Live. Guys, this is a preview show for the 2021 season, kind of getting started here before the Tar Heels take on Virginia Tech on Friday night. I'm your host, Ross Martin, and I'm joined by former UNC running back and NFL veteran, Sean Drone. What's up, Sean?
How y'all doing? What's going on, Ross?
It's all good, man. We're pumped to bring you this show. This is our first live show. We're coming to you about 5 minutes after every game this season, starting this Friday. So we'd love for you to join us on YouTube and, of course, on Facebook and Instagram as well. But you can comment and question on YouTube. So this show, it's going to be me and Sean. Sean's got the X's and O's, the football perspective, former UNC letterman and NFL veteran. I cover the team, in the interviews and the press conferences, interviewing the players and coordinators and coaches. So two different kind of perspectives, bringing you great insight and analysis after every game, instant takeaways. And of course, we have John Bowman as our producer. What's up, John?
We want to see a lot of YouTube and Facebook comments tonight. Everyone feel free to post something in the chat pod. We can take those questions live to Ross and Sean. Excited for this season.
Let's go. And guys, our sponsor, Blue Shark Vodka. We'll talk about them more in a little bit. Blue Shark Vodka out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Has partnered with Inside Carolina to bring us, provide the financial support for this show and the smoothest vodka in the world. And Connor Barth, former UNC kicker, as an investor, one of Sean's buddies with Blue Shark Vodka. So we want to thank them and shout them out. Let's get into it, guys. Big season.
Big season.
Expectations are high. People are saying 11 wins, 10 wins. UNC brings back 10 of 11 stars on defense. The whole offensive line, Heisman candidate Sam Howell. They did lose two of the key running backs, Michael Carter and Javonte Williams, and Diami Brown and Chad Surratt. But the expectations are so high. Have you ever seen anything like this for UNC football?
I have not. I mean, I still talk about the 2010 season, going into, when Butch had us, in the rankings, you know what I mean? And we were excited about that season. So I haven't seen any excitement from myself, so to be excited about this season as I was, back then. So it's definitely a exciting time.
Yeah, it's pretty hyped up, especially with Sam Howell, a quarterback. When you have a quarterback who can go out and win you a game, it doesn't really matter who's around you, kind of a plug-and-play situation. I think you're going to be in every game.
Right.
UNC has a pretty favorable schedule, in my opinion. Starting with Virginia Tech, which is a home game, which we'll get into. I think that's a massive way to start the game.
Absolutely.
But we're going to break down some players here we're looking at. We're going to break down the schedule a little bit, some takeaways, and just give some general thoughts on this team to kind of get you set for UNC Virginia Tech on Friday night, and then, of course, for this season. So let's get into it here. Players to know. So Sean and I and John have each picked one offensive player and one defensive player. We're going to start with Sean, player to know, who you're looking at heading to this year.
For me, it's Ty Chandler. I'm very excited to see, how we continue to progress as an offense, with him in it. I think, losing those guys, and Javonte and Mike, I think, it left a hole. And, sometimes guys seem to want to fill the hole, fill those shoes. But I think if he plays the way he played at Tennessee, I think, he'll be a good fit.
Yeah, I think what he brings is the experience.
Yeah.
He's done it at a high level at Tennessee. He's a grad transfer for his fifth season using that COVID year.
Right.
They went out and got him. They needed that back after losing Javonte and Michael. And so Ty Chandler comes in. He should be the number one back for UNC.
Yep.
We think Caleb Hood is the number two back, and DJ Jones will kind of be that third back. Let's go to John for his player to watch. We'll each do one, and we'll come back and do our other one. We each have one offense, one defense. John.
I'll start with my offensive player as well. Garrett Walston, for me, is going to be a key player. He's a guy who got an extra season with the year of COVID eligibility. He's going to be a trusted security blanket for Sam Howell this year, especially if Bo Corrales and possibly Khafre Brown aren't playing in the first game this year against Virginia Tech. I'm going to look for Garrett Walston to be that big guy to go to on third downs. I think he could have a huge season for North Carolina.
Now, the thing I like about Garrett Walston, he hasn't had a huge breakout game or season yet, but with how many people they lost on offense, He has a chance to really be that security blanket.
Yeah.
He's a big player in the run game.
Yeah.
What's the importance of that experienced tight end for the run game for what UNC does?
That's an extra lineman. I mean, that's the way I've always heard it and looked at it. I mean, most guys, in the new offenses now, they're more H-back type tight ends, and kind of the blocking tight end is kind of being phased out. But I think for him to be integral in the pass game and the run game, it'll definitely propel the offense, I think, and he's a key player for that.
And we've heard him say, or heard Phil Longo, UNC's offensive coordinator, say he has some of the best hands on the team. This is his 5th year. He knows this offense like the back of his hand. So Garrett Wallace, a name to know. Thanks, John. My offensive player is Josh Downs. We actually recorded kind of a mock show before we went live with this about the Texas A&M game. And when we were looking at UNC from that game, Josh Downs had 4 receptions, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Stepped in for Daz Newsome, big receptions, 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to be all over the field for UNC this season. He's going to be leading the team in receptions, yards, touchdowns. So get to know the name, Josh Downs. We've watched the Texas A&M game. What do you like about what he brings?
I mean, again, the big playability. I mean, those shots down the field, I mean, they swing a game real quick. So for us to have that deep threat and immediate threat, really, and for him to play that key role in the offense, I think that'll pay dividends for the team.
And along with Josh Downs, you have guys like Antoine Green to look out for, Coffrey Brown, Johnny Brown's brother, can have a big season. I like Emery Simmons a lot.
Emery Simmons is a big body.
Big body receiver, can kind of be that possession receiver, but also has the speed to go deep.
Yeah.
Let's go Sean's defensive player to watch heading to this season.
I like a couple of them, but I'm going to give it to Tony Grimes. I mean, he's not a huge guy, but he plays with a huge heart. And, I mean, for me, I wore my emotions on my sleeve when I played, so when I see players like that can really bring it, talk a little smack and back it up, and and he's super athletic. Showed a lot of speed. Again, he's not a big guy, but he showed his toughness and made some key plays in the Texas A&M game. So I'm excited to see him develop.
Yeah, and sophomore Tony Grimes, I mean, he didn't have a full offseason last year.
Right.
He arrived in August.
Right.
And it kind of began starting, I think, on the last half of the season, and then made some big plays against Miami, against Texas A&M. So now he's at a full season in UNC's strength conditioning program. 6'1", safety, put on like 30 pounds this offseason.
Did he?
I think 29 pounds is what we reported. He came in like 160, and now he's
he had to. Okay.
Yeah, because he came straight from high school. So Tony Grimes, I mean, he's going to be out there with Kyler and Michael and Storm Duck and Day Hollins as the lockdown corners for UNC's defense. We'll talk about the defense more. We got a lot to say about them. Let's go with producer John, his defensive player to watch.
Yeah, speaking of, my defensive player is Storm Duck. He's a little bit of a forgotten guy on this defense because he was out all of last year with injury. But this is a guy who graded out extremely well in some of the Pro Football Focus metrics. He's an all-ACC type player if he's healthy. So I'm really interested to see whether or not UNC is going to be able to count on him this season. There's been some reports he might be a little bit banged up in camp. But if he's able to play, he's going to be a huge asset to this defense this season.
All right, good stuff. Storm Duck, all name team.
Huh?
All name team. Storm Duck.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It sounds like the little skit that the guy did. I forget, where they had all the different names.
That's right.
I forget the name of it. But
we'll go with it.
Sounds like it.
And my defensive player of the to watch is Ja'Corius Conley, another defensive back. We're going defensive back heavy on this show, but Ja'Corius Conley played nickelback last year as a freshman. He's moving to safety. Jay Bateman loves him. 6'2", 225. They have to keep him losing weight because 225 at safety is a little heavy.
I'm telling you, he's bigger than Asante.
Yeah, and so he can play a hybrid linebacker, but he might be second or third of the team in tackles at a safety position. All ACC type season, athletic. He's also going to be returning kicks alongside Ty Chandler. So Ja'Corius Conley, I think, as a sophomore, is going to have a huge season for UNC. Guys, quickly, as questions roll in on YouTube, get your questions in. We're going to get to those here shortly. We'll talk to you about Blue Shark Vodka, local in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And Sean's boy, Connor Barth, is partnering with them.
Yeah.
They partner with us. The extremely smooth vodka, Blue Shark Vodka. And I'll read to you a recipe we like. It's 2 ounces of Blue Shark Vodka, half cup of ginger beer, a little lime juice and lime wedge. That's your Carolina Mule with Blue Shark Vodka. Locally sourced sweet corn from North Carolina. And then mellowed and smooth. It's all good with Blue Shark Vodka. Right out of Wilmington. And every in all 100 counties of North Carolina. Go to your local ABC store and ask for Blue Shark Vodka. We really appreciate their support for this show. John, how are the questions coming?
Yeah, we've got one commenter on YouTube I want to shout out. Chris D is really hyping up Sean. He says, Sean Drawn equals freak athlete. Along those lines, Sean, what was your favorite maybe run or your biggest run that you had in your career as a UNC football player? Anything you can kind of look back on now that you really enjoy thinking about?
Man, I enjoy. I was on Inside Carolina talking about this the other day, but the Music City Bowl, I enjoyed that game just all around. Just the fans, like Tennessee fans were just rowdy, and then we just shut them up. So it was a good game all around. One of my favorite runs was, I think it was either the second or third play of the game. It was a toss sweep to the left, and man, the guys blocked it up beautifully, and I put one move on a guy and took it to the house, and the crowd went crazy. Our little patch of blue on TV that everybody continues to point out. That was one of my favorite runs for sure.
That was a crazy game. Kind of a feeling of shutting up a crowders being a scoring touchdown in a stadium like that's got to be incredible.
Yeah.
Any questions, John, relative to the 2021 season?
Yeah, we wanted to also clarify. So Pamela on Facebook has a question about what game. Can you kind of explain, Ross, again, this show, when it goes live and how people can watch?
Yeah, for sure, guys. So we're going to go live after every home game. This is a preview show. We're kind of getting some reps here. Sean and I are just practicing and previewing the season. That'd be a good way to get together. But we're going to go live after every football game, home or away, about 5 minutes after every game. It's going to be Sean and I breaking down the game, talking about the biggest takeaways, the biggest players, the plays of the game, the key plays. We'll get Sean a little X's and O's on some key plays. We're going to take questions on YouTube, and the goal is to have an instant reaction live show immediately after the game, win or loss. Tune in to Inside Carolina on YouTube and on Facebook and our Instagram, and we're looking forward to doing it. Any more questions,
Yes,
John?
sir.
Okay. We're moving on. We're going to go to what I think is the biggest improvement. We're going to talk about business improvements. The biggest steps for this team, I think it's the defense. We watched last season, of course. I think they lost the game late because of some depth issues on defense, maybe some personnel issues on defense. That's what I'm pointing to. I think on offense, this team is going to be just as good. Could take a step back depending on who steps in at running back and wide receiver. But I think on defense, the depth is there for UNC to be special and win games on defense. What do you think about that? And particularly the depth and how that helps the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a question, and you hear Mac talk about it a lot. In the press conference, is just the way they are going to rotate those guys in, especially for the D line. I mean, those guys are battling down there, so you have to keep those guys fresh and keep the rush fresh. And I think that's what our defense is kind of built around. So
I think bringing the pass rush is huge too.
Absolutely.
That really slows down when you have tired players. So Desmond Evans, get to know that name. Tamon Fox, Chris Collins, Kamen Rucker, those guys are rushing off the edge. I think UNC has a lot more depth at the outside linebacker position, the defensive line. Some other names to know that I like: Miles Murphy on defense, Rainbow Hasek, Tamari Fox. A lot of players stepping in as kind of sophomores and juniors, which is really improving the depth. And we already talked about cornerback and safety.
Yeah.
And Eugene Asante, we talked about him in the show we did, kind of the practice show.
Yeah.
What do you like about Asante stepping in for Chad Surratt? What you saw about him in the Texas A&M game?
I think it's a good feel. I mean, I think both of those guys are super. I mean, Surratt came from quarterback, so you have that athletic build in that spot. And Asante showed that. The whole bowl game. I mean, just him shooting gaps and getting off blocks for the size he is pretty impressive too. I mean, that's something that you would kind of have to kind of put a question mark on almost, because once those 300-pound linemen get on a 210-pound linebacker, you kind of question, like, can he get off him? Can he fight through him? But that's one of the things I kind of talk about.
And it wouldn't be a preview show without mentioning Jeremiah Gimmel.
Yeah. Oh man.
This is his third year starting. He is the leader, the heartbeat of this team. He's been second in tackles last 2 seasons behind Surratt. So Jeremiah Gimmel, I mean, he is the heart and soul of this defense. He's gonna have a huge year. And losing a guy like that would be massive. So
they call him the quarterback on the defense.
Yeah, respected leader, communication, leadership, all that good stuff.
You ever seen a person? I mean, I get this a lot. and just seeing a person be like, yeah, you look like a football player, or he looks like a linebacker.
He doesn't have an neck.
Man, his jawline, like he looks like that guy.
Not to bring looks into it, but he has a kind of a square head and no neck. But dude, he's a great interview too. He's very insightful.
Yeah.
You can ask him about really specific stuff about the football. He'll break it down and give you high IQs there. And he puts everybody in position. So he's that senior linebacker right in the middle that you want for UNC. So the pieces are coming in place for this defense. We talked about the depth of the defensive line. They're going to have, you'll go probably 5, 6, 7 players on the defensive line. That 3-4 front.
Yeah.
You got some better pass rushers with Desmond Evans, Kamen Rucker as the outside linebackers. We talked about the middle linebackers with Asante and Gimmel, and then Ja'Coryus Conley, Storm Duck, Tony Grimes.
I like Tamon too. Like
Tamon Fox.
Yeah,
he's a fifth. He's a 6th-year guy.
Is
he played in 2016 with in the Georgia game. He was a freshman in the Georgia game when they went down there and almost beat him with Mitch Trubisky.
Wow.
Tamon Fox. I think he had a redshirt thing. A question from producer John.
Yeah, we got a question coming in from Drew about the running backs. He's asking, what is it going to be like for Caleb Hood and DJ Jones playing in Lane Stadium for the first time as young players? What's that experience going to be like?
It's a great question. We have a former UNC running back here, hostile stadium, young running back, ball security. What do you think?
Very hostile. I think, Mac talked about it. I listened to him a lot. He's just a very insightful guy. But he talked about like going into those situations and just having the wherewithal to say, okay, these fans are hostile, but that's what you should get like hyped about. Yeah. Like you shouldn't be intimidated about it. It's something fun. Like they'll be hyped for a second, but then you make a big play and you're shutting them up. So I think for the running back, I'm not gonna say it's just like practice, but I mean ball security is key for sure. But I mean offensively is where it kind of gets sketchy because you can't hear the snap count. So I'm pretty sure they worked on a lot of
silent counts. But how's that work? I mean, this is something I don't know about. When there's the loud stadium, late night, liquored up.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the silent count like? What's that mean?
I mean, I've already seen that. Sam does the claps.
Okay.
He does. We used to do. I mean, TJ used to do the hand motion. That was like 1 or 2 or 3, and
For what? 1 or 2, 3 what?
The snap count.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so he'll do 1 or 2 hand downs, and that tells you when to go.
Gotcha.
So that's your snap count. But as far as the running backs go, I mean, I don't think it's a running back specific problem or thing that we have to point out. But I think it's just more of the team just being on the same page. I mean, communication is key.
And the center quarterback exchange, huge too.
That's huge.
Brian Anderson was out for a lot of the preseason camps. So we don't know if he'll be completely healthy. So Kieran Johnson or Brian Anderson starting at center there. John, any more questions before we kind of wrap this up? Close with some closing thoughts. Schedule questions.
Yeah, we're
going to talk about the schedule for sure.
Yeah, we have a question coming in from Grant on Facebook. People are asking, how have Ty Chandler and Caleb Hood looked in preseason practices? Maybe Ross, anything you've heard from kind of camp rumors? Who's standing out?
Yeah, we're only allowed to go into one practice, and you can't really tell much. But the big thing with Ty Chandler is he's experienced. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's been there in the big games, and he has that speed to take it the distance. He's not a huge back.
Right.
He's not a tiny back. He can run between the tackles. He can kind of do it all. You've been watching tape of him. What particularly do you like about Ty Chandler from a football perspective?
I mean, like you said, first of all, the experience. I think the key thing with that is him being able to protect Sam.
Pass protection.
Yeah, pass protection is huge. If you can't pass protect, on this level, you definitely, if you are gonna make it on the next level, you're not gonna make it long if you can't pass protect. I think just his physicality, he runs hard. He can stick his foot in the ground, catches well out of the backfield. I saw with Tennessee, they actually lined him up at receiver a couple times. And with those guys being gone, that may be an option that they've explored.
Yeah, I mean, UNC uses the running back in the passing game a lot.
Yeah.
It's an extension of the
And I think he's a good guy for that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. I mean, it's an exciting time for the offense because we don't really know what to expect.
That's a big question.
Out of Ty, out of Caleb Hood, out of Antoine Green, Emory Simmons, Josh Downs. I mean, we're going to get some new names here, and that's what's fun about college football is you get new players every year.
Exactly.
Let's go through the season here, put on the old glasses. We wanted to talk about, we usually do a takeaways at the end of the show. We're going to do the 3 biggest games. Look, I think I'll do one. I'll do two. You do one game.
One game of what? What are we talking about?
The biggest games.
Oh.
What do you think is the biggest games? Do you need to look at the schedule? You want me to do them all?
I think just off the bat, Virginia Tech is like one of the biggest. It's another opponent that we've played multiple times in the last couple of years, but they're always typically good. They always play us well, and they're a team that don't give up. So I think just going into this season with Mac Brown, with the new team, new guys filling roles, and just Virginia Tech being Virginia Tech, I think it's just a huge game to get the momentum going for the season.
I think if UNC loses this game, and that is a huge loss.
Right.
I think
it can go one way or the other.
I think there's so much pressure on UNC to win this game.
Yeah,
that, like,
100%.
A loss would be devastating because it kind of ends the Heisman campaign. It puts UNC behind in the Coastal Division, and the momentum of all this buildup is kind of lost.
That's the thing. That's what I was about to say.
There's so much
the
pressure.
Momentum, the buildup to right now, and then it just, like I said,
flat.
a pin and balloon is just.
So I agree. I think the Virginia Tech game is the biggest game. I look at the Miami game because if UNC wins, I think they handle Georgia State. I think Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Duke are very winnable games.
Yeah.
They have Florida State, which is a big one, but I think Miami at home should be a top 20 matchup against a Miami team that UNC crushed last year.
I was about to say, if Miami haven't improved much from last year, hopefully we got that one in the bag too.
At home, yeah. I remember that the running backs in that game went off.
550 yards.
How many?
550 yards.
I
think offense put up 750 total.
It was unbelievable. Each running back had like 200 plus.
Man, it's too easy.
So that'd be a huge game for the Coastal Division, Miami. And then it's a week off and Notre Dame. I know John's going to Notre Dame game. Is that right? And I think our backup producer here, Charlie, might be in the Notre Dame game too. But that's huge. That should be a top 10 game if UNC kind of takes care of business and kind of goes undefeated until then. They have in South Bend, October 30th, Halloween weekend at Notre Dame. National stage, NBC, should be a night game to rocking. I think that's
we typically always play them like at some point, and it end up being a big game. Like it matters for that game for some reason.
Yeah, and last season was a huge game too, and UNC was there, but Notre Dame kind of pulled away. So I think that will be another national game to kind of, all right, is UNC ready?
Right.
Are they going to be able to show on the national stage and beat a national power like Notre Dame?
Yeah.
I mean, if they beat Miami, beat Virginia Tech, beat Miami, Florida State, that Notre Dame is going to be huge, and they win that, and then you're talking college football playoff, undefeated, and that's when it gets crazy and the kind of the hype starts, and that's right in the middle of the season, Miami and Notre Dame.
Just got to keep that momentum going, man. It'll be tough.
One game at a time.
One game at a time.
Yeah. So we'll see how good UNC really is on Friday, and then of course as the season progresses to Florida State, Miami, Notre Dame. So guys, that is our preview show. Kind of a little bit of the structure we're going to talk about. We're going to do takeaways. We're going to do initial thoughts. We're going to do players of the game. We did players to watch to preview. We're going to do the biggest, our three biggest takeaways heading out of that game. We did the three biggest games. So kind of had to alternate it for the preview show. We want to thank Blue Shark Vodka as being our sponsor all season. Right in Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach, the smoothest vodka in the world, available in all 100 counties. Blue Shark Vodka. Ask your local ABC store for that. Shout them out. Check us out after every game, about 5 minutes on Inside Carolina YouTube, Inside Carolina Facebook, and we'll be streaming live on our Instagram page as well. For Ross Martin, this is Sean Drone. We appreciate you watching.
Thank you, guys.